everybody, welcome to our very first episode of our Fireside chat series. This is our replacement to our Cultural Friday. I know y'all sad to see it go, but we figured it's time for a change of pace. So this series is going to be about whoever really wants to have a conversation. It can be me and Tim, me and Frank, Frank and Tim, Tim and his daughter, Miss Addie, whoever wants to come on. So it's kind of an open invitation if you have something you want to talk about.
I'm 5 years old.
You are 5. You just turned 5, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Happy late birthday.
Thanks.
Uh-huh. And so it's kind of an open invitation to you guys. If you guys want to come out and talk about anything that's on your mind, we'd be glad to have you. So I hope you guys enjoy, and comment down below if you have any topics that you want to see us discuss.
Bye.
That one.
I started writing notes for a book. And there's that.
You're gonna write a book? Am I gonna know 2 authors now? Look at me.
It's not gonna turn into a book, but
It may.
some notes.
You know, it's looking like Apache is gonna be like the College of Self-Defense or something with the amount of instructors that we have.
Do what now?
So looking like Apache is gonna turn into like the College of Self-Defense instead of just Apache training.
Yeah, man.
With the amount of instructors we have.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of massing into something more than just Apache. Because that's something we've seen. This is just in this weekend's class. When you put Apache and the gun set guys together, it's just, I don't know, man.
It's one big group of people.
Yeah.
Like there's not cliques or anything. It's just all together. Mm-hmm. Just crazy. Yeah, the training industry is really the only place, the firearm training industry, and with the right people, is the only place I've ever seen that.
Right. Yeah, you won't find that in like a whole lot in the manufacturing side of things. So like that's why I've heard Tom say it quite a bit. It's not an industry. We're not making anything. It's a community, a training community.
What it is, it feels like
the firearms training or the firearms manufacturing industry is full of cutthroats and snakes and that sort of thing. But no, ultimately, I think the majority of the training community, the real training community, is out to help each other.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw a little jab at a group I'm in, not too personal, but so I'm in a group that is, the whole principle of the group is to improve each other and push each other and sharpen each other, right? Iron sharpens iron kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That is literally the purpose of the group. For me, Apache was never meant to, that was not the intended purpose of Apache. The purpose is to provide a better armed society, community, right? Or produce a better armed society?
Yes.
Okay, close enough. So.
That's his mission statement. Yeah.
Right. But I think Apache does a way better job of the pushing each other and the supporting each other than the group dedicated to doing just that. And I think that's saying a lot.
A lot of this actually was pre-planned. So like the nature of Apache, the whole reason why, the business is named Apache is named after the call sign that one of my squads used in Afghanistan. And, I said to myself, I wanted to make this mission statement, but I can't do it myself. And I'm going to need to create, I'm going to have to create some type of cadre in order to make this type of thing happen. I realized that going into things. And my struggle was, when I first got out, going through college, working here and working there, doing that, I didn't find a place where I felt like I belonged. Like I didn't have, so I searched all over the place. I even looked into joining a militia. Went to a meeting one time. I walked out of that meeting, didn't last very long. I just really struggled with finding that brotherhood and that sense of camaraderie. And so when we started the business, it was, well, if I can't find it anywhere, I'll just create it. I'll just make it. And that was largely due to my wife's guidance. There's nothing saying that you can't just do it yourself. And that's ultimately what we ended up creating at Apache. It was a large family of folks who are like-minded and love to shoot and want to look after themselves.
Yeah, I really appreciate that because this has really changed my life. It's the community. I've never experienced this before. Like, I didn't know that. I mean, I knew this probably could exist in thought, but I never thought I'd find something like this.
Sure.
And what's really impressive is you're able to find the people to fill the roles. So right now, people can't even get somebody to work at McDonald's. You're looking for somebody that has got the right mindset. And what are you laughing at?
No, I'm just listening.
Yeah. So right now, like, you've got the people that you're looking for to fit in here. They're hard people to find, man.
Yeah.
Really hard. Like, I look all the time, and I can't get anybody to work with me.
So you've watched Field of Dreams, right? If you build it, they will come.
I know that
That's
line.
kind of been my philosophy. Like my whole thought process on this. There's been little like, hey, you want to go join our super secret club, you know, and come out and train with us.
Yeah.
Less recruiting and more of, man, honestly, if you look at the people that showed up here and how they ended up showing up here, you know, they came out here through word of mouth. And might have met myself or one of you guys, you know, at work or at a store or gun shop or something along those lines, and encourage you to come out and train or something. And you come out, and once you get out here, you start to. It's most people that come out here will say, it's not what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. That's been probably the most one of the most consistent pieces of feedback I've heard from a lot, like every student, a lot of students at least.
I mean, I guess that's part of the reason why, you know, the business is named what it is. It needs to be a little bit more free floating and not so much, you know, I don't want to be labeled like the majority of the cookie cutter firearms training. You know, training businesses and stuff. This is a lot more than that. Mm-hmm. A lot more than that. You know, our one-on-one sessions are a prime example of what that really is. I mean, when you sign up for a one-on-one session and you're out here once a week and you've been doing it for months at a time, you eventually build, you know, a professional relationship with your trainer. And a lot of times you're talking about stuff other than guns. You're not talking about just, you know, man, I want to, you know, I want to learn this new skill set, or I want to polish up this new skill set, or what do you think about this piece of gear or this gun? It's not always about that. It's, man, work's been driving me nuts this week, and you know, my kid's struggling with this or that or whatever, and it's, I guess there's a little bit of I don't know what to call it. I don't want to call it counseling, but I mean, it's
people feel comfortable enough around you and others here that they can open up and talk about things that honestly they probably don't have any other outlet for.
Right. It's a solid outlet.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, I've literally sat down for an hour, sometimes over an hour, just talking with students. We not shoot once. Magazines don't even get filled. Guns don't get loaded. Mm-hmm. They never come out of their carry gear, and they don't come out of their bags or whatever. I mean, we just sit there and talk. I mean, there's plenty of times where that's happened.
Yeah,
and I think that's more important.
I've been one of those guys.
Yeah, that's more important sometimes than going out there and learning how to press trigger, don't disrupt sights, or learning how to get that super fast draw stroke. Yeah. A lot of times when, you know, you can do that all you want, but if your mind is elsewhere, you might as well get it off your chest.
Yeah, you're not going to learn while you're distracted by whatever is bugging you.
Get focused and then get to work if you want. But
right.
Yeah, and I feel like that example has been set, and you know, the trainers who who come out on Mondays and teach, and the trainer that come out on Tuesdays and teach, they understand that same concept too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always, straight to work. It's how you feeling? How's your weekend? How was your week?
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at with the whole, like, how do you find these people? Because everybody's like that, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how. I don't know that I've found these people as much as they found.
Yeah,
they found
you've
us,
already answered it. Create it and they'll come, right?
Yeah, I mean, some folks just sign up for. I mean, look at Landon Nelson's story. Landon showed up to a concealed carry class thinking it was going to be a check in the box. Signed up with his dad, took the class, and there was no one-on-one time with me and Landon. There was no direct individual conversation between me and Landon. It was, he left there and said to himself, I'm going to have to go back. I don't think I performed as well as I did. Mm-hmm. So he signed up for some private sessions, started training, and took some courses and started becoming more involved in self-defense training and that mindset. And through that, he's he ended up going the instructor route and that sort of thing. I mean, it'll take you all kinds of different places, but yeah, man, it's ultimately just treating people the way you want to be treated, man.
So, do you have any leadership input or advice? Like, do you have some tangible actions that you took to help cultivate this from the beginning? Yes, I do. I have a lot of leadership experience from the military. A lot of good leadership experience and a lot of bad leadership experience. I've got plenty of mistakes that I made in the Marine Corps that I've learned from. I've got plenty of huge wins from the Marine Corps that I've been able to learn from, and I've used a lot of that to kind of guide me in the process of leading our students. I think of this less like especially with you guys, with the Apache cadre, I think of it less like a student-teacher role and more of a leadership mentor type role. That's how it feels.
That's really what I was going after. But in the Marine Corps, you have certain traits that you need to that you study and you try to achieve. You have certain principles and that sort of thing that you try to follow that helps set the bar for what a good leader actually is. And that's stuff that I've tried to emulate in this environment and just try to mold it to what what we need it for, So, yeah.
Do you have any examples of that? I keep prodding. Give me 3 specific things. So somebody watching could be like, oh, I could implement that. I'm the boss. I'm a manager at McDonald's, or I'm a manager at an auto repair shop or something. What can they do to help get that sense of community, camaraderie, mentorship, the feel that's here?
You have kind of put me on the spot there.
I did put you on the spot.
So, I think I said a little bit before, is ultimately what it boils down to is just treating people the way you want to be treated.
Okay.
If I expect something of you, I should lead from the front, by setting the example and showing you that it can be done. And then asking you to put in the work to achieve this specific level. Also, at the same time, not setting, setting high, keeping and holding yourself and others to high standards, not just in, your handgun skills. That's very important, but in your overall daily life and in your mindset. You need to be able to, you need to be able to hold yourself accountable, but more importantly, it becomes easier to hold yourself accountable when you have 7 or 8 other people that are also going to be holding you accountable.
Yep.
So, if you're not putting in the work, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it from the majority of the guys.
Yep.
But you have that major support system, and I think that's probably. You asked me to give you 3. I'll give you 1. Okay. That's the most important thing. If I were to, tell you to come down here or ask you to come down here, work the shop for a few days while we're gone, so that if anybody come in off of 601 and were to stop in to see what we're about, they would have somebody there to talk to and learn more about Apache. I asked you to do that. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have done that had I never sat in that chair myself for multiple days straight and understand what that boredom actually looks like.
Yeah, right.
When you don't actually have a business sign up front and actual working hours, that's not really established yet. So I understand the frustration there. But I wouldn't have asked you to do that had I not done it before. I'm not going to ask you to crawl around in the mud if I'm not willing to do it myself.
Right.
And I think by setting that example for the instructor cadre, in turn, you guys use the same mentality towards your students. So when your student shows up and they want to learn a different skill set, you're not going to hold them to a standard that you can't achieve yourself. Right. You're going to teach well within your standards because you're not going to ask them to do something that you're not capable of doing yourself.
I feel like a hypocrite if I do.
Right. It's okay to challenge your students and try to push them and that sort of thing. But ultimately, if you're going to hold them to a standard, it needs to be something that you can achieve on demand. No matter what that is.
So what's the difference between like an NFL coach and this? Because an NFL coach cannot perform the way his athletes can.
Right.
So he's holding his athletes to a higher standard than himself. I'm not really sure what my question is, but there's a difference there.
I mean, there is a pretty significant difference between an NFL coach and somebody who would be able to perform the same way as their team that they're coaching. So, I guess it depends on what level you're talking about, because that NFL coach, if he were teaching, if he had the same amount of experience and the same amount of knowledge and his body allowed it, he could probably do those things, or he might have at one time done those things. Okay. And the same thing with shooting. Dan Brady's the one to talk to about that, because he'll straight up tell you, you may be able to outperform me, but my experience level is pretty vast. Right. So there's going to be some chunks that you're missing that I can still help you with. And he has that eyesight to look for certain flaws and things. So, I mean, you're talking about coaching shooters. I mean, it's very likely that you're going to have somebody, especially a very, highly dedicated student who's really, really putting the work in to become better. Mm-hmm. It's very likely that they might beat you one day. I mean, that's kind of an ultimate goal, right? At least for me. I don't want to hold somebody back. I want to push them to their highest level of performance as much as I possibly can.
Which I've seen you do. There's been times I've seen a few guys take you down once or twice.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen very often, but it has happened.
Yeah, there's quite a few of the guys. Shoot, Frank took second this last weekend.
I heard.
I tied for third with like 15 other people.
That was a heck of a
high-performing class,
yeah.
Man. You should have seen it. It was wild.
Ellifrance was there, too.
He's a pretty good shooter, man. That's the first time I ever got to train with him.
Well,
he's a really good shooter.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I think Kent wasn't there either. That class was loaded with freaking talent.
Right. Yeah, it was a good time.
Well, it sounds like we're about to get interrupted, so this is a good time to cut it off. So thanks for watching, guys, and comment down below any sort of topic you'd like to hear discussed in the future. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. We look forward to seeing you out here.
Perfect timing. All right, so I have to film an intro. No, you're good. You almost messed it up, but you didn't.
I forgot we were recording.
That's the point. That is literally the point of
You
this.
start helping me out there. If I'd have known you were coming down,